Why won't they be seen with you?
Long story.
I'd still like a drink of water if you can spare it.
Amazing what a parched throat will do. Aren't I unclean to you? Won't you be defiled by this vessel?
Maybe some of my people say that about your women, but I don't.
Yeah? And what do you say?
I say if you knew who I am, you'd be asking me for a drink.
Really?
And I would give you living water.
Would. Except that you have nothing to draw water with, and this is a deep well. Besides, what do you need from me if you have your own supply of living water?
Long story.
Welcome to Elevate to Clarity, the podcast where we discuss how to overcome your obstacles and level up in your purpose. And I am your host, Latasha Slide. My guest today is no stranger to the spotlight or the podcast world. She is a classically trained actress and voiceover artist who also speaks fluent Spanish, and her experience ranges from the stage to television, commercials, and radio. Her television credits include The CW's Walker, HBO's The Leftovers, ABC's American Crime, a co-star role from Dusk Till Dawn, the TV series, but you may know her from The Chosen. When she's not acting, she enjoys singing, cooking, and traveling and spending time with her husband and her three sons. Like me, she's a boy mom. Please welcome my guest, Vanessa Del Silvio, to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Natasha. Yeah.
I'm so excited. So, the one thing that I did not say was she's also the actress that played the woman at the well, right?
Yeah.
And I am, as anyone that knows me, that right now that's watching me, that's following me, or that even my family members know that I have been taking this journey of like trying to make sure I'm very aware of what God is trying to do in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just saw The Chosen maybe a couple of months ago with my
Okay.
husband. We binge watched the entire thing. It was like, oh my God, this is so good. And it came at a point to where literally I'm studying and I'm getting to know rereading the Bible and the word and all of that. And your story, we're going to get to that. But I'm just like, I wanted to be connected. And when he said yes, and honestly, in my prayer time, God speaks to me in different ways, by the way. I'm not trying to creep you out,
Mm-hmm.
but he just showed me the woman by the well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. It took me a while, but then I started to understand. And
Mm-hmm.
so, a while later, then I reached out to you. So I thank you and
Oh,
I value your time.
thank
Um,
you.
and I wanted to say happy anniversary. You just did
Oh,
13 years, right?
I did. Thank you so much. Yeah, on September 1st, that was my 13th wedding anniversary with my husband, Doug. Yeah.
Oh, 13 years. My husband and I have been together for 26 years. We've
My
been
goodness.
married July,
Mhm.
18
Oh,
years.
wow. Wow.
So I
Wow.
totally know. So what is your household? I know what mine is like. What is your household like?
My goodness, my household. It's so we've got, like I said, three boys, ages 10, about to turn 8, and 4. And it's nuts. I mean, it's nuts, just quite quite frankly. I'm outnumbered. I took all the feminist classes in college to end up raising boys in today's world, And now I'm all about educating myself on raising, boys to become men, men of faith and men of good character. So that's been my challenge recently is just, how am I raising boys to be faithful servants in today's world, to be strong leading men, who are also supportive of women so yeah, I'm reading all the books and podcasts and listening to all the podcasts on that. But yeah, my house is crazy. Our boys play hockey, so hockey is we are full on in it. We started last week, the hockey season. So my husband coaches two of the boys. The youngest is in hockey academy now. So it's hockey, hockey, hockey. We're at the rink 6 out of the 7 days of the week. So it's a lot. Yeah. But I'm a big fan of hockey, luckily. And I'm kind of taking on the role of like administrative team mom for some of these. So all the stuff that goes along with that. But I'm enjoying it. I know this time is fleeting when I'm a part of a Bible study right now with older moms who have older children who are empty nesters. And yeah, they help remind me that no, you really got to stay present in this time. It's tough. It has its challenges, but how important it is to recognize that just like, nothing is guaranteed. Not each day is a new day, and and knowing that, that before I know it, these boys are going to be on their own. So really trying to stay present and enjoying all the highs and lows of motherhood.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Mine play basketball and run track. I am definitely a sports mom, and I totally understand that my weekends are no longer mine. And my husband is like, okay, you go this way, and you go, and where I have to go this way because I have two that play the same sport.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it is definitely crazy. So I can appreciate it when you can
Mm,
find rest and peace. You try, but
yeah.
it's far few in between.
Oh,
So
yeah.
tell me, Vanessa, where did it all start? Like
Mhm.
I understand that you've studied and you have perfected your craft. So tell the listeners and myself, like, where did your story start?
Yeah, so my love for acting started at the age of 7. I was in my first play, The King and I. It was a college production that my dad, he was a professor at that university, was like, "Here, come and audition for this. You seem to enjoy acting." At home, I was very imaginative and playful, and would sometimes disturb my parents because I would be so playful that I would start crying, and they would come up to me and, "Vanessa, are you okay? What's going on?" "Oh no, I'm just pretending. I'm just pretending." But I had these soap operas in my mind. And so they were like, "She either needs help or she needs to get into some acting." So luckily they chose the acting route, and it really was my outlet. I loved it ever since. I remember going on stage for the first time at age 7 and realizing, no, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. This is what I'm called to do. I just felt it. So anytime anyone, would ask me what I wanted to be, I was an actor, an actor, an actor. And so I ended up studying acting in college at Manhattanville College. I did a double major in acting and in acting and theater and in psychology. So that was just my way of having a backup plan. I thought if I have a psychology degree, I have a backup plan if this whole theater acting thing doesn't work out. Well, it actually ended up helping my acting, I think, understanding um, the humanity behind the characters that I play and really bringing that to the characters that I play. So yeah, once I graduated, I lived in New York for a couple of years and then decided to start auditioning for Master of Fine Arts in acting. And so I did a big audition in New York and got accepted to Southern Methodist University in Dallas. So that's what brought me out to Dallas. And at the time, I was dating my husband, and he was, decided to come follow me and come out to Dallas. He's not an actor. He works in construction, and he found a great job offer about 2 weeks before I was set to start. It just was also very serendipitous, or I can say God had a hand in it all, and was really making sure he was caring for us. And we were able to move out here together. And once I graduated, I signed with the Mary Collins Agency, which is the agency that I'm with right now, and decided to make Dallas our home. We just felt like we loved the community. I loved the arts community in Dallas and Fort Worth. I was able to do a lot of theater. I was teaching theater as well at some of the colleges, local universities. And then we decided to raise a family. So that is now taken, the front seat as being a mom to my 3 boys. But I still try to do a play a year, and I'm still auditioning all the time and just booking things that keep me fulfilled and keep me engaged in the profession that I love and what I loved before I was a mom, making sure I still stayed in tune with that. So that's been a balance for sure, as being an actor and a mom and a wife. It definitely requires support from my husband and my family, but now that the boys are getting older, I think they understand what it is that I do. And my middle one now is actually starting to ask if he can take some acting classes, and he wants to act and he wants to sign with an agent and things. So we'll see. We might have another actor in the future.
That is so great. And it's funny because I actually grew up in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Okay, you did. Oh, wow.
I did, and to hear you
Yeah.
say that, I'm like, "Okay, maybe there's a why there." So I'm like, "Okay,
Uh-huh.
I told you I'm trying to pay attention to everything." And so
Yes.
you're in the Dallas yeah, and
Mhm.
God is actually placing some very interesting people in my life, and majority of them are actors and actresses here lately.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out what does He want me to actually get from that. But I do know
Mhm.
exactly why you're here.
Aw.
So, but you don't hear that, most actors and actresses, those are in the entertainment industry going to Texas.
Right.
You
No,
you
not
know, like how did that make you, how did you actually know that
right.
this is where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, that was not in the plan. I was going to study at SMU, finish my 3 years, and then go to Chicago was actually the next plan because we lived in New York. We did that thing. It was a bit overwhelming. Chicago felt like a good city that has a lot of good theater, also, film and TV projects, and it was closer to my husband's family, who's in Ohio and Michigan. So that was the next step, but we ended up I think what happened was I felt connected to the arts scene and the community in Dallas, which was very surprising. I would go and see theater at the Dallas Theater Center and at, Stage West Productions and go see these professional theaters, and I was blown away by the talent and blown away by the artistry. And I thought, why do I want to leave this? I already had an in by training at SMU. I got to work with the Dallas Theater Center. So I was inspired by the work around me, and I felt like I was already finding a place. And so it just made sense to stay. And my husband was okay with that. He was happy with his job. He worked his way up in his position with his company. And so he just felt, okay, let's do this. Felt like it was just where we needed to be. And it's so interesting because sure, if I had left to Chicago, if I had gone to Chicago, I would not have gotten the role of Fatina. I'm almost positive because it felt like that role they were casting more locally and in DFW for that role, and so I would have missed out on that opportunity. So it is amazing how, look in hindsight, God had a plan for us. You're going to stay here, and I think about that often. I'm like, if I had gone to a different college, if I had decided to not go to SMU, I had thought about a school in Florida, the trajectory of my life would have been very different. And I would not be here right now having this interview with you.
A divine path.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. He knows exactly what he wants and your purpose and everything. That is awesome.
Yeah,
We hear about that, but to hear you actually say that, it's like, yeah, it was divine for sure.
for
Because
sure.
it's just not no it's not a regular conversation. Because most people, oh, I'm going to California. I want to be in Hollywood. I want to, you do all of the things and be in that type of environment. So the
Mhm.
woman at the well is one of the most powerful stories, right, in scripture. How did that role come about for you?
It came about in an audition from my agent, and she said, "Here, there's this faith-based project. They are casting the woman at the well, and go ahead and take a look at this script." And she had to preface it by saying, "I know it's faith-based, but I really think this is high quality work, and you should look into this." It's unfortunate that she had to preface it with that, but I think often before The Chosen, I think The Chosen has raised the bar and really set the standard for faith-based work, because I think prior to The Chosen, a lot of it felt cheesy and kind of the writing wasn't really that great, and it just felt like you were going to get a dose of like feel good, but the quality wasn't there in terms of the acting or the writing or the production elements. And so when she sent me the first episode of season 1, she said, "Take a look at this. I think you're gonna like what you see." And sure enough, within the first couple minutes, I thought, "Wow, what is this?" The writing and the cinematography and the acting, and I thought, "They're shooting this here in Dallas. Like, I have to be a part of this." So I immediately said, "Yes, let's do it. Let's audition." So I knew the story of the woman at the well from my upbringing in the faith, and so I have heard this story. It's super short, this little blurb. It's such a short little paragraph. That's it in John, and but I'd never seen it told like this, and so I was so intrigued by the writing and so intrigued by the character that they develop in this episode. And yeah, just prepped for it as much as I could. Self-taped from home. I was able to do it actually in this space right here that I'm in. I self-taped and had my husband read for Jesus. And we did 2 takes and picked one and submitted it. And I joked afterwards that they were going to call me back because they were in love with his voice of Jesus. And sure enough, I got a call back, 4 or 5 days later, and the rest was history. Got to interview and audition with Dallas Jenkins, the director, in person,
Yeah.
and I was offered the role. It's incredible. Yeah.
So you mentioned the elements of the story. Well, I know that you're a believer because you've actually stated that you do all the things the Bible study. So to hear that your agent had to prep you in the way that she did was I was like, well, why would you have to do that if she knew? But this is the thing about what you just stated to me, because that was one thing that actually stood out to me, because I've seen the Bible. I'm a 70s baby, right? And so it was like oldie back in the day type of film. But this particular movie, the way he shot this movie, the way you guys actually portrayed the characters in this movie, I really appreciated it, because again, I have 2 boys. I have a 17-year-old and my 13 tomorrow. He turns 13
Mm,
tomorrow. When my boys can actually sit and say, Mom, this is really good,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the way that the story came out about Fatima, the Samaritan woman, it it was literally seeing it from the pages,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And I think that it's the elements were there, the way it was told, what it just connected to what people are going through today, even as women or men. But I know for me, I sobbed a lot about all of it, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
It was really good. The story
Mhm.
was really, really good. But the thing about that was that, like what you stated, is like, yeah, you hear the story, you've read the story before, but it just hit differently this time,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
while you were actually preparing for the role, what changed for you? What connected you to her?
Um, what connected me to her, that's a wonderful question because that's the first thing, that's my job as an actor is to connect to the character that I'm going to play, to be able to tell a story that feels very human and real as opposed to a judgment or, a two-dimensional take on a character. So I can't connect to her background. I haven't been married multiple times or had multiple husbands. But I do know, and I remember feeling like, okay, well, what I can connect to is what it's like to feel stuck and bound by my past, what it's like to feel guilt and resentment towards something I said or did to someone, and how I often, when I feel that way, I feel like I can't move forward. I have to forgive myself in order to move forward, and so I can connect to that, what it's like to feel that way, and to feel that in Jesus, we can look for other ways to find hope and look for other ways to move forward and look for ways to cope with our resentment and our guilt. But it's in Jesus that you can fully be free, And so I think I could relate to that what is it like to feel stuck and to feel like you can't move forward? And what is it like to meet Jesus face to face and hear him say, no, I see you and I love you for who you are? That was just, so powerful. And so those were the things I could connect to. And I think that's what makes the scene so powerful is that journey that we see Fatina go through. She's hard. She's putting up all the walls at the start of the scene. And that transformation at the end where the walls are down and she is full of joy and ready to take on her life as a new, born again person. So I think it's so joyful and it's just so beautiful. And so many audiences can connect to that story.
Yeah, I agree. The internal life and him saying he's offering eternal life. He's offering the living water. He is basically saying, I want the relationship with you. And I was like, do you know that this person in front of you can give you exactly what you want? And it was like, oh my goodness, right?
Yeah.
Um, that was a huge moment. That is
Yeah.
like a transformational moment that you would actually be having the conversation with the Messiah and not know it.
And not know it. And not know that he's right there in front of you. But I
Yeah.
think how often we do that in our lives. We go through moments in our lives where maybe Jesus is speaking to us and we're not aware. We're not aware of it. We're just dismissing it and we're saying, no, no. But how important it is, I think what made Fatina able to experience him is that she ultimately did have to be open.
Yeah.
And it took a while, but finally you feel her walls drop. And then once she's able to receive him, wow. I mean, the transformation is there.
I think that was a thing. I was having a conversation with a young lady, and it was she came to me and she was like, I never I she people pay attention. That's all I'm gonna say. People pay
Mhm,
attention to you. If you say you are a believer, there's always someone paying attention to you. And
mhm,
she's a young lady. She just graduated from high school, and she says, "Can I ask you a question?" She says, I'm battling wanting to be there for a friend because they're not wanting to. They're going through something and they don't know how to have this conversation with God because they're doing things that are not godly. And that bring me to this, and it was more so like people want to pray when things are good. We want to go to God when everything is already figured out, but they need to understand He wants you to have the relationship when you're broke and broken. He
mhm.
wants to hear from you when you feel like, oh, I messed up on a Saturday night, right? And all of the things, not when everything is glitz glam and perfect,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the time. I think Americans, we have a hard time with going in being vulnerable with our mess. She had a lot of mess. Like, so, five husbands, and then the one that she was with, the sixth, was not, but Jesus was a seventh man that actually showed up saying, "Here I am, I see you," like you stated.
Yes.
That's a huge moment, saying that regardless of what you've been through, how it looks to you is not what he sees.
Yes. That's it. That's so true. Amen.
Right?
That, yeah.
So the personal lessons and the shift, right?
Mhm.
How has the role impacted your faith?
Oh, it's given me a sense of purpose as an actor. Because prior to this role, I felt like acting was something that I did for myself because it fulfilled me. It was something I enjoyed. I did it for me. And I never saw it as something that I could do for God or to honor Him. And now that I've played this role and I've seen the impact it's had, and I've gotten to experience, playing this transformational character, it has allowed me to really see my career with new eyes. That every time I take on a role, it's a gift, honestly, a gift. Our all knowing creator, the creator of everything, gave me a gift of creativity, and I honor him every time I share that creativity with others. And so, even if it's faith-based work or not, a majority of the work I do is not faith-based. But if I really pray over a role every time I take one on and ask God to help me see, what is it about this character that needs to be shared with others? What is it about this story that others need to hear or see? Then it really does make it something sacred and personal and spiritual. So that's something that is just incredible for me as an actor to know that this is a gift that he gave me, and I share it with others, and by doing so, I'm honoring him.
You did a good job. You
Thank you.
really
Thank
did a good job. And I
you.
like when someone can actually bring that character to life, and I'm like, okay. The skill and the mastery and the study, you can actually see it. And that's what I
Oh,
tell people all the time is it takes a special person to actually craft, to bring a character to life. And you really did. I know it was like for you, like you said, it was just a short period of time. I mean, what, 10 minutes, in this scene, but you had to literally give a lot for that 10 minutes.
yeah. Oh, it was. And it was everything that I love about acting is, I mean, I love transformation. That's something that I just love. If there's a monologue where I can have a transformational point in there, or any character that has a journey, it's just so, I love that. Those are just the kind of meaty roles that I adore. So this role was, it was just everything that I enjoyed about acting in those 10 minutes. And I think
Yeah.
that's just God looking out, going, all right, here, let's have fun with this. And let's see what
Yes.
we can do. Let's see what we can do.
What has been the most memorable reaction that you've received from other people?
You know, it just comes down to people who come up to me. I was at the Chosen Con last year, and a fan came up to me and said, I, your scene is the reason why I have a relationship with Christ. And I don't take that lightly. Like it overwhelms me, and I get emotional, just thinking about it, because I know that, we're here on this earth to make an impact. And a lot of times we think like, no, how can I make an impact as a, fast food worker, as a delivery guy, how can I make an impact? But in everything that we do, I think God, does want us to share our talents and our gifts in a way that helps others draw closer to Him. And just when we like to put limitations on ourselves and say, no, I can't, God, I can't do that. But just let him take the reins, let him do it. You don't have to do it. Just let him shine through you. And so I was raised in the faith to believe that, yes, we have to use our talents and our gifts to help others find him. And this role did that for me. This role has just given me such a joy and a satisfaction in terms of just where my faith, where I am in my faith. And if I don't book any other big roles, I'm okay with that. This role can be it. Of course, I want to keep acting and I'm going to keep acting, but I mean, this role, I'm okay if I'm just forever known as the woman who, Vanessa De Silvia, who played the woman at the well. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'll keep acting, but I'm okay with this being the thing I'm known for. Because it honors him, and it allows others, when I hear other people say, I know Jesus now. I have a relationship with God now because of your scene. I felt seen. I felt like I was her, or I felt like, I was putting up all these walls, and once I saw Fatina let that guard down, I felt like I could do that too. And I think that's what makes The Chosen so powerful, is every time I watch it, I'm a big fan, I'm a mega fan, and I'm all caught up on all of the episodes. When I watch it and Jesus is speaking to a disciple, or he's speaking to a sinner, or he's speaking to, the Pharisees even, I feel like he's speaking to me. And I think that's what, depending on where you are in your life, I feel like there are different moments in those episodes where it really does feel like, oh, no, 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 that he's speaking to this character, but I hear it loud and clear in my heart. He is speaking to me in this moment. And I think you can watch that episode months later and it'll hit you differently. Other parts of that episode will touch you differently. So it really does bring Jesus to life in a way that's just so powerful, and it brings all of the characters to life in a way that now I read the Bible and go, oh, I know him, I know her, I know that disciple, I have a face to the name. And it's just so invigorating. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
That is good. You come alive. It's funny. I'm watching you, and that's exactly what it does. When you find your peace and your comfort in the Word, you can see it because it exudes all over. You
Thank
know what
you.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. It's true. When you are doing what you're called to do, it brings you to life. Yeah. It fulfills you, and it brings this vibrancy and this energy that's just so available, and people pick up on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that just brings me, like, hearing your perspective reminds me of, you know, reminds me that breakthroughs and clarity, it's just not an ancient story, right?
Mhm.
I actually, I just wrote a book, and it's called Elevate to Clarity: 3 Ways of Finding Your Purpose and Breakthrough. And I wrote that book exactly for what you stated earlier, for impact, right? So we can get the knowledge, the understanding, and the wisdom, and to lead people back to scripture. So I use the scripture to make sure, like, yeah, it's storytelling and things like that, but this is what real people are going through, but this is how we got through it. And that's what it is. It's literally like, people just say, oh, it's just a story. No, it's real life situations that happen, that was basically planned for us today in 2025 and beyond. So you'll know exactly how to get through life situations,
Yeah.
right? Like with Job, he had all of the things. And he took it all away. Why? Because he wanted to make you realize that regardless of if you have things today, it can be taken away from you. But
Mhm.
what do? Stay in your faith, stay in your belief, right?
Yes.
He
Yeah.
used her to say, she became a evangelist. She spoke
Mhm.
the word, but she started telling everybody what Jesus did for her and why we need to believe. So he uses this to get our attention for today. It's not about just being here. We're supposed to be doing exactly what God said. And if we follow the leader, we won't be so miserable and stuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, yep. Preach, girl. Preach. It's so true.
I mean, that's just how I see it. But I think
No,
that so you brought up it's for all types of people. Why do you feel like even unbelievers are drawn to the story?
Um, Unbelievers are drawn because history says Jesus was a man who really walked this earth. I think historians agree, whether you are a Christian or not, we all can agree that Jesus was a man who walked this earth. And so I think the story of Jesus is just, it really is so strong. It's so beautiful. And I think people are drawn to this show because of that, because if they've seen clips on social media or others have told them like, no, 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 no. If you think you've seen, I think a lot of people think of stories of Jesus and they just think of the holier than thou, take on Jesus, who was the godly Jesus, but we don't often see the human of it that was in Jesus, the human element. And so I think people are drawn to, okay, let me see what this story is all about. And it's amazing to me to see, even cast members who are coming to know Christ through this experience, who are getting baptized because of this experience. And so I think I love that Dallas Jenkins does not require actors to be actors of faith. He says, anyone who wants to audition and tell this story can help me tell this story. And so they know when they take on the role, okay, they're going to tell a Christian story and let's just see how God works through it, is my way of saying, I think even people who are not believers can watch this. And I think God is working through it. He really is putting things in perspective for them and helping them to see, what made Jesus so remarkable.
Yeah.
Even if you don't believe he was crucified and resurrected, even if you don't believe that part, which I think is the biggest part of our Christian faith, is that he was resurrected, but they have to see that he was different and that what he did here on this earth was incredible in terms of just flipping everything on its head and really requiring people to rethink the way things were done before, starting first with love. Starting first with love. Yeah.
That's strong, Vanessa,
Mhm.
because if you are an actor, you're thinking, I'm just here to do this job. I just want the job, get paid, and go home, right? But at the end of it, you are saved, sanctified, and was filled with the Holy Spirit. That means that Dallas's role, he did exactly what God called him to do. He wanted those that were not quite sure, not still on the fence. You think that you're just doing that job of acting, but I'm going to bring you to Christ. That's huge. That
That's
is a
huge.
big moment
No.
for someone to go and portray a character and then find themselves actually finding God.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? That is like that. That hit home for me. That's powerful
Yeah.
because I don't think, and I have never met Dallas, but he's doing a good job. And I know that
Mhm.
this was a small budget film that ended up being something big, and people start to just pour into him because of the way he has been telling the story. But that's a big thing to be used in that way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I know it was 10 minutes. So I do understand that. Is it season 6? Has it wrapped up, started? Where are we with
Season
that?
6 is wrapping this week. This week.
Okay.
Yep. I think tomorrow's
So
the last day. Yep.
really? So
Yep. They're
tell me
saying.
more. Is the crucifixion part correct?
Yeah, they are season 6 is gonna have the crucifixion, so it's gonna be a doozy.
Are you are
We
you coming? Are you coming back? Are you in there?
I'm not, and I just ask that, fans they continue saying, bring back Fatina. I pray that she'll be back. She'll be back to tell more of her story. I do know in the Greek Orthodox Church, she's revered as a saint, and people have sent me little medallions or little. I got a keychain with "Pray for us, Saint Fatina." So she's revered as a saint. They say that she actually died for her belief. She was forever transformed. And I mentioned this to Dallas Jenkins one time, and actually in season 1, I was like, "Hey, so she's revered as a saint that she was a follower after that." And he's like, "Well, that's urban legend." But I was like, "Well, you know what? You at this point you can do whatever you want, and people will will be enjoying your story." I love that his stories are rooted in the Bible, but he also takes liberties with some of the storytelling. So who knows? Who knows what's out down the road for Fatina? I would love for her to come back, and I'd love for us to hear more about how she was impacted by this experience with Jesus.
Yes, yes, yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this season because when it left with Judas and him kissing him on the cheek, Vanessa, I was like, how does this young man walk through life right now knowing that he had to play this role?
Oh,
Because
I know.
that was deep. It was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
deep, and the fact that God is God, because I don't think I could sit across the table from someone that I know that is about to betray me in the way that
Mhm,
he did, right?
mhm, mhm.
That's big.
I know, and he does
So,
such a beautiful job, and again, just brings the human side to this character. It's easy to dismiss, the villains, but no, I think The Chosen really, really quite requires you to see the human, and where all of that comes from. A lot of our choices that are not so good come from a place of fear, a place of wanting love or wanting to be loved, and it just goes wrong, But it's not. I don't think we're inherently evil, and I love that that's how they're playing Judas, yeah.
so what's next for you?
What's next? I'm still auditioning often. Yeah, always auditioning for the next project. So that's still happening in this space right here. Yeah, I'm itching to get on stage. So I'm always, kind of looking and see what's going on in the Dallas Fort Worth area to get back on stage. So yeah, I'm just constantly into whatever's out there, what's available, and whatever my agent sends my way. I will say I did a short film last year. Now it's out on YouTube to see. It's called Bandita, and it's a short film, about 10 minutes, about human trafficking. And this role was placed before me just as I had prayed. I had started praying to God out loud, was just saying, okay, here we go, Vanessa, you're going to pray this and get ready to see what happens. And sure enough, I had prayed that, Lord, I'm ready after the success of The Chosen. I'm ready to start doing more faith-based work. I really am. And I want to do more of that. So please, please, if you can place things before me, I'm ready. And 2 weeks later, I got an invite to be a part of this project without even auditioning. And so, yeah, it's a story that's also just dear to my heart because it's something that relates to what's going on right now in our world, and it's around us, and how we can be more aware of human trafficking.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's powerful. And when is that? What is it air? It's already in
It's
motion?
on YouTube. Yeah, it's on YouTube now. It's Bandita Film. And it's Bandida, Bandita, Bandita short film. And it went in. It entered into a lot of festivals this year. So the director held off on releasing it, but now it is available. And it had quite a bit of success in the film festival world and was nominated for quite a few awards. I'm actually going to the Content Media conference next week, or in 2 weeks. That's out here in the Dallas Fort Worth area for possibility of getting awards for Best Actress in a short film, and it's been nominated for a couple. So I'm just excited that it's getting recognized because I think these are, again, stories that are powerful and that I think God wants me to share.
Yes. So I think yes, yes. It's funny to hear you say that, but but please, and I know that he's actually taken you through another journey of the next thing, right? When one door closes, the other one opens,
Right.
um, and it shows that, like what you stated earlier, the change in, I guess, the relationship with it, and that's what he wants. He wants us to come to him and be very open and transparent. Like, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, if this is the lane you want me to stay in, then I'm going to stay in my lane, and I'm going to let you be the light at my feet, right?
Mhm.
So I pray for more success for you. Like I said, you're like my new best friend in my head.
Thank
Any
you,
woman that
Latasha.
has three boys and you're a boy mom and you're doing all of the things need prayer.
Yeah, there is a sisterhood amongst, yeah,
There's
both
a
for
sisterhood.
sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. So before I let you go, is there any last words that you would say to a woman that may be feeling like Fatima, that may be starting a new journey, that maybe still want to start a journey and maybe feeling lost? Like, what would you say to her right now?
Put him first. Put Christ first in your life. Pray to him first. Any sort of decisions you have coming down the road, ask him. Ask him to guide you, and then be open to receive his message. Like I said, earlier, Fatina ultimately had to put those walls down so that she could be open to receive what he had for her, and in doing so, she was able to affect others and spread his news to others. So as much as you may feel like, oh God, he can't use me, or I don't feel like I hear his voice, well, take a moment to let those walls down and be open to receive him. And I think if you start each day with him first, you're more open to hear what he has to say to you, and then those decisions and those crossroads aren't so hard, because I feel like you're in tune with what he has for you. That's the best advice I can give. And it's something that I deal with daily, is okay, have I spent my time with him yet today? Okay, let's find it. As a mom to three boys, you're busy. But I think that that's a reminder to me as well, how important it is to let him take the reins.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So this has been great. I have
Thank
learned a
you.
lot about you. Thank you for allowing me to intrude your space for the 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But as far as the listeners, guys, I've actually learned so much from Vanessa. Not only is she crafted her skills and talents that God has given her, but to allow it to come through so that we as viewers can actually be more connected to the story of God. She has definitely brought that out. And I do recommend that if you have not seen The Chosen or you have not read the Bible about who the woman at the well is, please do so, because you'll basically be connected to this story and why it was so heartfelt for me to have her on the show today. So, as usual, this has been another great episode of Elevate to Clarity. Remember, all things are possible, but clarity makes them elevate. And you all have a great day. I'm out.